Digging through old crates, just creating the sound. Cause it's all about the music.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mood616 here, and yes, I'm back with a brand new video straight up off of that 2023 roundup video. So if you haven't checked that out, go back and check it out. It's all the shit I picked up from 2023 albums and old school releases and stuff like that. So yeah, so this video is going to be my top 23 hip-hop albums of 2023. So if you're familiar with my channel and how I do my lists, I don't do best of lists. I do my personal favorites. I don't give a fuck what people think the best albums are. Best doesn't even exist in my world because everything's subjective. It's just my personal favorites. And so yeah, with that said, I do always set some boundaries when I do my lists also. Everything that's going to be listed in my top 23 albums is going to be a physical album. I know there's tons of stuff that just comes out digitally. But I don't include that. Other people do, and that's totally fine. I just like to deal within, you know, the physical media part of collecting and you know, with albums and stuff like that. So, also, for it to qualify for my list, it has to be at least 30 minutes long. If it's under 30 minutes, I consider it an EP, and I don't even consider that to be an album. So 30 minutes or less, or 30 minutes or more, physical, and of course it has to be released between like December 15th, 22 and like, you know, the end of 2023 kind of thing. But yeah, so those are basically the three rules that I set for myself when I do these lists, because it really just kind of, it gets rid of a lot of stuff, like no digital albums, no albums under 30, so it's easier to do the list that way and stuff. But, you know, there is a few albums that that I ended up not getting physical copies, like the J. Roy album that came out this year. I talked about it in my last video and stuff like that, but that was a fucking great album. It's just the shipping and everything. It was going to cost me like $70 for a CD, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that shit. So, but that album would have made it. There was some digital-only albums I talked about also, like Rashid Chappelle's album that was produced by The Archetype, which was awesome. I believe that there's no physical album for that. I hope it gets a physical release later on, because that album is so dope. But yeah, so if I was doing digital albums, that album probably would have been on my list and stuff like that. So, but without further ado, I'm just going to try and show off the CDs. If I only have it on vinyl, I'll show the vinyl. Some of these albums I'm going to be showing on CD, I do have on vinyl also, but it's just easier to get the picture. Just a lot easier to place and stuff like that. So, you know how it goes. But without further ado, top 23 albums of 23. Here we go. Number 23, I was going to say number 25, already fucking up, is Park-Like Settings' brand new album. So crazy, man. They haven't dropped an album in like 18 years, and I was like totally blown away by this. I mean, they've all been doing stuff the last little while, but they just haven't dropped a group album since 2005's Craftsman, which was actually their sophomore album. But it's cool to see all three of them back together. We got McEnroe, it's all produced by McEnroe, John Smith, and DJ Honeycutt, who's back. He was on the first album. He wasn't part of the second album. He was replaced by YY. But 18 years later, the three of them are back doing their record. And I got to say, man, this was a really good album, man. Like, you know, it's what you expect from them. They have some humor in the raps. They got some, you know, they tell some stories. You know, they get a little bit political at times and stuff like that. But it's always good storytelling. It's really fun music. And you can never really go wrong with McEnroe's production. It's, you know, he's got a lot of kind of like 80s influence stuff going on there. He's always changing up his production. That's why I like his instrumental tapes, and his stuff that he's done over the last 25, 30 years has been pretty incredible. So if you're familiar with Peanuts and Corn, they're still dropping stuff. But yeah, Stupid Juice, first track on the album, really good. Really good stuff. Coming in at number 22 is DJ Muggs' Soul Assassins 3, Death Valley, which I'm still confused on why this is part 3, because I think like he did Intermission way back, like I think that was later 2000s. Then there was another Soul Assassins, which wasn't number 3 either. I think that one came out a couple years. But anyways, this apparently is Soul Assassins 3, Death Valley. Pretty cool stuff, man. 19 tracks on this. Look at that gang of features on there. It's some combinations I was really surprised by, like Method Man and Slick Rick doing a track together. I thought was really interesting. Freddie Gibbs and Scarface, which I love that track, Street Name. It's a fucking banger, man. Scarface, dude. If you guys checked out that Tiny Desk show that he did, it's amazing. It's really, really good. Good stuff. But yeah, I think my favorite song on this record is probably Street Made. I absolutely love that one. You got Rock Marciano, Rome Streets, Mayhem Loren. That's a cool track. But yeah, it was really cool to see B-Real, MC Ren, and Ice Cube doing a track with Muggs. I don't remember the last time Cube worked with Muggs. It's probably been since the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. So, but yeah, Soul Assassins 3, Death Valley, pretty cool. I don't really know what I'm going to do with these type of cases because, you know, it doesn't go on the shelf. I have no idea what I'm going to do with these. They're just so awkward. But anyways, coming at number 21, we have Chrome Bills. Yes, Chrome Bills. Yeah, so all produced by Steve Bills. Pretty cool, kind of like, it's very playful boom bap, hip hop and stuff like that. There is actually a track on here produced by Squares. I think Squares does. Yeah, Squares does the track Chrome Billionaire is actually the very last track on the album from Pen Pals, of course, which is featured in Rapswell, of course, from Pen Pals also. Actually, funny story with Pen Pals. I actually had Pen Pals on this list. I think it was placed at number 22 or something like that. And then the runtime on the album was actually under 30. And I was like, shit, I can't break my rules already. That's ridiculous. But yeah, really, really fun album here. Get Sized is such a dope track, man. Really, really good stuff here. But yeah, really playful kind of, you know, boom bap and stuff like that from Chopped Hearing Records, one of their brand new releases. So pretty cool stuff. Number 20, we have, like I said in my roundup video, man, I thought this was kind of a interesting combination of MC and producer to work together. I just never thought I'd see something like this, because Elzhi, he does a lot of different types of albums and stuff. Like he just came off kind of that folk record and stuff that he just did, which is pretty cool. But Elzhi and Ono with Heavy Vibrato, yeah, I just was not expecting this. When it got announced, I was like, shit, that's a crazy combination. I can't wait to hear this. And it totally didn't disappoint at all. I mean, Elzhi comes very, very correct with the rhymes. Ono's beats are very Ono, especially the first track on it. What is Heavy Vibrato? Yeah, and what is the Trick Dice? Yeah, the second song on the album. Fireballs. Yeah, Fireballs on here, man, is fucking straight fire, man. There's some really good tracks. You got some features from Blue and Ono, Guilty Simpsons on here and stuff. But yeah, I think it was a really interesting combination. I was, like I said, I was not expecting this album to come out. But then again, everything's possible these days with technology. I mean, I don't know. I doubt that they worked in the studio together. I seriously highly doubt it. But just with Sen and Beach, you can work with anybody these days. And here's a great example of it. So don't correct me, or correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they probably didn't work in the studio together. But number 19. We have Czarface's new one, Czarface and Zartificial Intelligence. You know, it's just more good stuff from Czarface, man. I mean, really, you can't go wrong with 7L, Esoteric, Inspected Deck. They just have such great chemistry together. It's insane. I mean, the amount of albums that they put out in the last, like, 10 years has been incredible. And the quality is there also. I mean, to be honest, 7L and Esoteric, as a group themselves, put out a lot of really solid stuff too, and Esoteric solos put a lot of really good stuff. I mean, you put all the whole collective catalog together, very, very solid. But I really do think that Inspected Deck shines a lot more when he's in a group environment. Like his solo records are always a little bit underwhelming. I think his last one was pretty good, but he seems to work really well. Like he just comes fire verses here like he does in the Wu-Tang. I don't know. There's just something about it that's like he needs to just step up his game and, you know, fight for that number one spot when he's in a group situation. But there's something about Inspected Deck. He's just so sick. All that for a drop of blood, man. That beat is crazy. It's so 80s influence. I absolutely love it, man. The song with Nems on here is really dope. But Helicopter, Godfather Don and Cool Keith. Love that track, man. Really, really hot stuff. So good album. Very, very solid from Czarface. Coming in number 18 was an album I thought when it first got announced that it was going to be probably top 5 for me of the year. But you know, I wouldn't say it was underwhelming. It was just not exactly what I wanted. I've talked about this with lots of people, and that of course is the L. Michaels Affair and Black Thought record, Glorious Game. I just wanted a little bit more of the harder beats on this. It's a little bit more laid back, and it's interesting because Grateful, the very first track on the album, is it's probably the hardest track on the album. So it sets the bar, it sets the stage to be this like, you know, a little bit harder album, and then it just slows right down and never really picks up again. But it's awesome. Like, I mean, the instrumental, the actual music from L. Michaels Affair is awesome in this. Black Thought is super, super good. His wordplay is awesome in it. But it's one of those albums that I need to be kind of in a laid back mood to listen to because it's that laid back and it's just kind of surprising. But I do prefer the more harder Black Thought. But it's still a really great album. Don't get me wrong. I love it. So, I mean, every album on here, just because it's placed at number 18 of my favorites of the year doesn't mean I don't love it. So, and plus, you know, all these ones are really hard to rank from like 11 to 23 anyways, because, I mean, who cares? Who really cares? Like, lists are for dummies anyways, like I always say. Anyways, number 17, we got Alcohol and D-Rugs. It's still the funniest. Man, it's to some people it might sound super corny, but it's actually really fun. The album calls Test Tube Junkies from Chopped Hearing Records. When they announced this one, I knew nothing about this. I didn't have a lick of information on this shit. I just kind of took it for what it was because, I mean, Chopped Hearing always releases really great stuff, whether it be like the most obscure old school record or some newer hip hop too. And yeah, Bob does a really great job with releasing these records. I mean, yeah, so Bob does a really good job. But yeah, this album is really fun because it's obviously playing off the whole alcohol and drugs. It's got lots of samples from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas in it. Really good stuff on this, man. I Am What I Am, man. That track on here is super dope. Don't Give a Fuck is really good. Fear and Loathing in Los Angeles is awesome too, man. I love the track Overdosed with Drunky Brewster, also known as Stranger Danger, dope producer. It's a really cool track, but you know, they have shit all over the place. It's a really fun record, nothing to take serious. It's a good one to throw on with some buddies and just listen to because some of the shit that they're saying is pretty damn funny. But very enjoyable kind of throwback 90s hip hop and stuff like that. So good stuff. Coming in number 16 is another album that I thought was going to be a lot higher for myself. And, you know, I mean, the more I listened to it, the more I liked it. But at first, I was very underwhelmed with it. But it did grow on me for sure, and that's Champagne for Breakfast. DJ Muggs, Mayhem Lauren, and of course Madlib. And, you know, I hold all these guys on a high pedestal because I'm a huge DJ Muggs fan. I'm a huge Madlib fan, and I love Mayhem Lauren. He's one of my favorite MCs of like the last, 20 years. His catalog's fantastic. Everything he's ever put out, I think is really good. But yeah, and I just love Mayhem Lauren's personality too. If you ever listen to the Take It Personal podcast, he's been on there multiple times, but he always has the best interviews. He's always talking about diets and foods and just like really weird shit and stuff. All it's stuff that you wouldn't expect them to be talking about, but he's got a really cool personality and it shows in his music. I like that he comes hard with things and his wordplay is really cool. And he's always talking about food. It's like Action Bronson. But actually, speaking of that, Szechuan Capital with Action Bronson on here is really dope. One of them ones is so sick on this album, man. That is a fucking banger. That is such a banger beat on here, man. I love the fact that they have the whole Soul Assassins thing on here and shit, like the samples through. But all in all, it grew on me. I didn't really know what to expect from like DJ Muggs and Madlib. And to me, it sounds a lot more DJ Muggs than it does Madlib. So I don't know how they did the production together. It definitely feels more Muggs to me. I don't know. What about you guys? Drop comments down below. How does this album feel to you? But I think it sounds a little bit more Muggs than Madlib at times. You get a little bit more some Madlib out of there, but yeah, not a lot of features on the record. And another one of these weird ass cases that's totally getting like super warped and shit. Like, look at that. Like, I don't like these things. I gotta say, I don't really like these, but they're different. They're kind of cool. But anyways, that's number 16, Mayhem Lauren. So coming in at number 15, we have the brand new Ill Bill with Billy. Ill Bill has always been an MC that I've enjoyed. I think he's super talented. I love the fact that like, he tells a lot of stories. He holds family very dear to him. It's cool to see that him and Necro have actually reconciled, because I heard that they're doing a project together again, which is really good news because they haven't done anything in, man, it must be well over a decade since they had their beef and stuff. I don't even really actually even know what the beef was about. I don't give a fuck. I'm just glad that they're working together. But it's interesting. You know, Bill has had better projects than others and stuff. I think, like I mentioned before, Steppagram, I didn't think it was that great, but he's had some really good records, man. What's Wrong with Bill is just fucking classic. But this is cool, man. It's a good production on here, a lot of good features and stuff, which you expect. Prophets of Doom with Sick Jack and Immortal Technique is a really dope track. But Jordan 3s, man, I love that track, dude. What else, man? Hell Awaits, man. I love the track Hell Awaits on here. Really good. It's very, very dark and shit. Yeah, Supreme Magnetic with Vinny Paz is really dope. But, you know, all in all, Stu Bang's beats on here actually sound a lot like, I think there was a couple beats on here that sounded like DJ Muggs. I'm like, did Muggs produce that? But I'm like, man, it's fucking Stu Bang's. It's crazy. So, yeah, what was the song? I have it written down here. Oh yeah, This Is Anger. Yeah, that was the one I was trying to think of. This Is Anger, produced by DJ JS1. I love DJ JS1. I love the fact that there's a song called Chub Rock on here too. And he always gives flowers to people, man, whether it be like Slayer or, you know, other hip hop artists and stuff like that. I always love Bill, man. He's got such a love for everything, metal, hip hop, you know, politics, dark side of shit and stuff. He's just interesting cat to me, but love that album cover too. Good stuff from Ill Bill. Coming in number 14. I have my list on the side here, so that's why I keep kind of reading, because otherwise I always fuck up numbers. I gotta have it numbered, man. Okay, so coming in number 14 is Jarv with the Alchemim. This album is really cool, man. So Jarv actually produces this whole album himself, and he lets you know right off the top of the record that he does that. I think my favorite song still is True Love, man, with Mr. Liff, man. Mr. Liff, like, that beat is so fitting for Liff and Jarv. And I really wish that they had done a third verse on the track where they went back and forth and stuff. It just felt like that type of song where you're like, you're going to get that back and forth verse. I really miss that in hip hop. I miss when artists would do kind of like Cool G Rap and Nas when they did Fast Life. Like, they had, you know, the Nas verse, Cool G Rap, and then they went back and forth and stuff. I love when artists do shit like that. And it's kind of a lost art now, because it's like, you know, people are sending verses through, you know, the internet now. And it's a lot harder to, you'd almost have to copy and paste line for line unless you're working in the studio together. So I see why people don't do that anymore. But of course there is still groups and stuff that work together in the studio that don't do it. So, but whatever. But I miss that. I miss that art. Lots of good stuff on here. Jarv, a lot of people would think that, I mean, if you actually saw what he looked like, you would never think that he was a hip hop artist, man. He, long hair, skinny, he looks like a fucking hippie, really. Like a white hippie. It's actually quite funny. But really good stuff. I gotta say, man, I'm very impressed with his body of work right now. He's got a couple mixtapes out and stuff. His wordplay is great. He's kind of got like that whole R.A. the Rugged Man type thing going on at times. But yeah, really good wordplay and stuff. So, yeah, good album. And that was number 14. Number 13, which, again, you know, this one, I just felt like this year was so strong for albums for myself that I can't even believe that this one is this low on the list. Or high, I guess, however you put it. But anyways, we got A$AP Rock's new album with integrated tech solutions. Very cool album, man. I love kind of the concept here. It's very futuristic. He talks about food a lot in this. It's really interesting. But Mindful Solution. Infinite Fill Goose Down. That track is just fucking banging, dude. But if you listen to A$AP throughout this record, like, I've listened to this album so many times now, and I always pick up something different every time I listen to it, because it's hard to process and absorb everything that he's saying, because, like, he has such a vast vocabulary and he talks in metaphors a lot that you almost have to, like, stop and think about what he's saying. And then you have to, like, A$AP Rock's one of those guys where you have to listen to and, like, reflect on a record after. You can't really take it for face value. I mean, you can if you're just listening music wise and you're just hearing it, but if you want to listen to the record, it's he's very interesting. I know he's not for everybody. I think he's just a fantastic artist. I think he's very eccentric, and it shows in his music, but he's very smart at the same time. So, and the thing I like about him is he's very subdued too. Like, he's not a high horse, you know, he's not braggadocious and shit, but he just kind of does his thing by himself and stuff, and I love that about him. Great producer too. But overall, really cool album and concept to the record. So and that was number 13. Coming in number 12 is an album that only released on vinyl. I'm really shocked that this one didn't get a CD release. I'm hoping it does actually get a CD release sometime. But all produced by Real Badman, and that's Kool Keith's Serpent. Fucking dope album, dude, man. Like, Kool Keith, like I said in my roundup, had a crazy year. He had like 5 or 6 albums this year. Like, you know, Keith's output in the last 30 years has been ridiculous. We all know that. But like, sometimes he just goes, he like loses his mind in a year, like 2023, and just puts out so much material. And these are like full length albums. Like, he doesn't shy away from putting out 12 to 14, 15 track albums and stuff. It's ridiculous, man. It's cool that he's got like, did a song with Slug on here. You got some extra talking on here from Ice-T on a couple tracks, but Rugged with Eat On is fucking dope. Jungle Fever is a really dope track. Yeah, the Serpent is really, Serpent is really dope. Oh shit, I gotta move this thing. But yeah, really good stuff from Real Badman. And again, these are like my favorite type of albums, man. Working with one producer, and Keith does that a lot though. He really does. And I was actually thinking about this the other night. I was listening to Kool Keith, and I'm like, man, I know that he had like a little bit of a falling out with Cutmaster Kurt, but everything that him and Cutmaster Kurt did together was fucking fire to me, man. Cutmaster Kurt is one of the most underrated producers I've ever seen. No one ever really talks about him for some odd reason, but man, that guy's put out a lot of really good beats and stuff. Like the stuff he did with Motion Man. He made Motion Man sound dope. I'm not saying Motion Man is not dope. He's not really for everybody. But Cutmaster Kurt's like 90s and early 2000s, it's just incredible beats, man. Super dope. But I wish Keith would go back and do a record with him. But yeah, this is pretty cool, man. Real Badman. I've been liking his production the last few years, so it was kind of a shock to see him doing a whole record with Keith. But at the same time, it's not shocking because Keith works with everybody. And really good album, man, from top to bottom. Good stuff. Highly recommend that. I don't think it's very cheap though, so. Coming in at number 11, we have, oh man, this is such a dope album. Recognize Ali's sequel to Back to Mecca, so Back to Mecca Part 2. Oh, dude, this thing top to bottom is just full of bangers, man. It's that like hard boom bap and shit. Like, you know, I talked about this in my roundup video too. Recognize Ali is one of those guys that like has a huge quantity of albums in like the last 10 years, you know, kind of thing. But they're like all quality. This guy is quantity and quality at the same time, and it's hard to do, to put out that much material and be super quality about it. And Recognize Ali is one of those dudes. I like his delivery, I like his voice and stuff, and I like the way he comes with shit. And he's got a good ear for beats and shit. He doesn't work with all the typical producers, but like Annual is on here. There's some cuts on here from Tone Spliff, which is really cool. I'd like to actually see him do a whole record with Tone Spliff. That would be fucking dope. But yeah, really good stuff, man. Belly the Beast. That track is fucking bangy. It's such a banger beat. Dinosaur Bone Collector is another really dope track on here. Produced by Giallo Point, who again has been doing so much stuff, man, with the Booze Brothers and stuff like that. So, but yeah, awesome record, man. Another one from Chopped Hearing. Chopped Hearing, man, always seems to make my list, man. They always put out lots of really good stuff. So, and that's one of their modern albums that they put out this year. All right, so getting into the top 10, we are going to start it off with a UK MC, Verbs, and did an album with Nelson Dialect, all produced by Mr. Slips. Yeah, I got to give a shout out to my man Wicked, Sean. I didn't know this came out, and I saw a video on Instagram, and I was like, "What the fuck is it?" He's like, "Oh, it's a new Verbs album." Like, shit. And I love that, man. That's what I love about the platforms and stuff. Like, even me, like, I'm constantly digging and searching for shit all the time. And there's still shit you're going to miss because there's so much coming out all the time. I just didn't know he dropped a new project. And it's super good, man. This one's very, very laid back, to be honest. But it's awesome, man. The first track on the album, Arrival, I feel like is such a great opening song to this album. It sets the stage for what's coming, and it never strays away from what it's trying to do. Verbs and Nelson Dialect have really good chemistry on here. Slip's beats are super dope. This album just gets like stronger and stronger as it goes along. Like Infinite Avenues is so dope. Edge of Oblivion, Starting 5, like it ends with kind of like a posse cut at the end. It's really good, man. And I like that, man. It just, ending your album with a posse cut always reminds me of like Low End Theory with Scenario for some odd reason, man. It just, you know, listening to that album back in the day and be like, oh man, there's all these guys on this one song. It's fucking amazing. And like, I don't know, I just got that vibe from this. I'm not comparing it to Low End Theory at all. I'm just saying like, there's not really a lot of features. I think there's only one feature on the whole record, and then there's like a posse cut at the end. So, but this is really good stuff, man. I'm not very versed on UK hip hop. I do miss a lot of it, and it's not because I'm just being ignorant, because like there's so much to listen to and shit like that. I just can't listen to it all, but I do have a little bit. But this is a really dope album. I'd love to get this on vinyl too. Sight Beyond Sight, so really good stuff. From Verbs, yeah, love it. Speaking of very laid back, this one's like more on the jazzy tip. That's more laid back, kind of boom bappy. Kid Abstract and Lilo Pass. Kid Abstract's new record here. If you're familiar with Kid Abstract, you're getting a jazzy feel to. The whole album is super, super laid back. This is the type of shit where you go and grab your glass of fucking Pinot Noir, sit back with some fucking cheese and shit, and you get down to the jazzy feel on here, man. Like, he's got a track on here, Keep It Jazzy. It's fucking dope. You got cuts from Phonics on here, A1's on here, but the whole album has like that vibe to it, man. It like, oh, dude, it's just, if you love jazz hop, man, you're gonna love Kid Abstract. Go back and check out his debut album, his first couple records too. Those are just fantastic records. I'm not saying this is, I like those albums a little bit more than this one, but it's not downplaying this at all. It's really good, especially if you love the slower kind of jazz. It's not something I would throw in my truck and roll around on a hot summer day, kind of bumping and shit down in the fucking on Main Street or some shit like that. But like, I want a little bit more heavy bangers, but this is more of that vibe where you're sitting back chilling and stuff. But yeah, really, really good stuff, man. Yeah, I love the track Keep It Jazzy. It's so super dope on here. All right, so that was number 9. Coming at number 8 is a group that always seems to make my top 10, if they're not my favorite album of the year. But this year's album came in at number 8 for myself, and that is the Pseudo Intellectuals with Command Economy. They're always putting out super, super good stuff. Like, it's laid back, kind of jazzy, the sample flips and stuff. Just the way they create music and the way it sounds and shit. Nobody's doing stuff like Pseudo Intellectuals, and they're super consistent. Every record that they've been putting out in the last few years has been incredible. Really, really good stuff. And I showed this in the back here. Like, they've got all these projects coming out. It even says, look for the rest of the Command Economy series. And I'm like, it's up to volume 5, dude. Like, that's crazy. Like, that is just so warming to know that they've got all these projects coming out. I'm like, shit, yeah, it's fucking amazing. And I'm sure that Chopped Hearing will be putting out all the records too. So another Chopped Hearing release here. Yeah, the funny thing about this album, they decide, if you're listening to the disc, you don't have the song titles, but they actually don't have it listed anywhere, which is very annoying. I always hate that, because I like, to pop in a physical disc and read along with the song titles and shit like that. And, but yeah, this is a really cool album, because like, even the interludes on here are super dope. It's full of cuts and really clever samples and shit like that. I absolutely love records like that. It feels like an experience to me, where sometimes when you pop in an album, it doesn't even have an intro and outro. It just has 10 songs, right? It's just, that's just your record. But I feel like when you're listening to an album with an intro and it has like a full concept to it, and it has interludes with cuts and stuff like that, I feel like it's more of an experience. It's like De La Soul is Dead. When you listen to that record, like, a lot of people always complain about there's so many skits and stuff, but there's a point to it, right? There's a concept there. And I like that about Pseudo Intellectuals. And, kind of goes to say what their name is too. They're not trying to be that, but it's part of the joke actually a little bit. But and they're not goof rap. It's actually really quite clever. But Walking Part 2 is a track on here. It's really, really dope. Featuring the Cut Beatles. They do the cuts and shit on there. It's really dope. So Command Economy Part 2. Another really great track on here. But really, you can't falter with anything on here. Just pop it in, listen to it. It's awesome. And that was number 8. Number 7 was, man, dude, like, the first volume that came out here, I stressed, like, I wasn't a big fan of it. I thought Part 2 was a step up. But this third one, holy shit, dude. King Disease 3, man. This one is just fucking bangers, dude. Like, I love this record, man. I really love this album. It's so good. I was not expecting, either Magic 2 or this album to come in, like, on my list or whatever. And don't get me wrong, I actually really like Magic 2. Magic 1 is, like, my favorite of all of them, though. I think the third Magic is probably better than the second one. But for me, I shouldn't say better. I just like it more, but whatever. But yeah, this right from the top, man, like legit Thun, Michael and Quincy, 30 is such a fucking banger, dude. Recession Proof is so dope. Remnants, I love that track right there. What the fuck, Shaking My Head is really dope, man. I love Beef, Don't Shoot, and the bonus track on here, Till My Last Breath. Like there's like this album right from the top to bottom just feels like he's like hungry as shit, and it's cool because it's like the third one in a trilogy, and he just came so hungry on this. And like I stressed before, like Nas doesn't need to be hungry. He's full, dude. He's like a billionaire, literally. But to have this much aggression and just motivation for hip hop, the love of the game, the love of the art and stuff, to do records like this at this point in your career is so satisfying to the consumer, to the hip hop lover. I respect Nas so much for doing shit like this because it's just incredible to listen to, man. Like Once a Man, Twice a Child. Like he tells some incredible stuff on here, man. It's just really, really fucking dope, dude. Yeah, I love the track First Time. The whole concept behind First Time is incredible. I love it. So Nas making top 10. I don't remember the last time Nas put out a record that actually made a top 10. I don't know. Did Magic make one of my lists? I'm not even sure. If maybe it was too far gone. I don't know, because they get released so far after the fact and stuff. But anyways, coming in number 6 is the Good People's album, A Good Year. I think this album cover is really dope, man. 12 tracks, one for each month of the year. Pretty cool stuff. I don't even know if I could even pick a favorite song on this. Like Making Moves has an awesome fucking Naughty by Nature sample in it. Fat Lacing has such great samples. Dude, I absolutely love Saint as a producer, man. So dope. Yeah, there's actually a feature from Bobby J from Rockaway. Funk All Stars. That's a really cool track, man. Love that track right there. But the whole vibe, like if you're familiar with the Good People, you know what you're getting. That little bit more up tempo, M-ski, just ripping fucking line. Oh, dude, so dope, man. It's just so flavorful. So much fun. It's such a different vibe. Like actually, this top 10 has different vibes all over the place. Like Kid Abstract's super laid back jazz. Verbs is more laid back, kind of like boom bap. Pseudo Intellectuals is kind of all over the, like it's super laid back but jazzy, boom bappy. Nas is a little bit more hyped up. This has got a different vibe than everything. I love M-Ski. He's actually one of my personal favorites of all time. I love everything that M-Ski's ever put out, from the 90s all the way up. Like, I wish they had his Nick Wiz stuff is amazing too. I wish that album actually had material, but we got a lot of it on the Cellar Sounds and shit like that too. But yeah, A Good Year, awesome album, awesome album. Coming in number 5 is another one that's just on vinyl, and that is Trumple the Funky Fucker. I keep wanting to say fucker. It's Fakir. Trumple the Funky Fucker. So known mostly as a producer, decided to grab the mic and came out with an album called Dysfunctional, and it's like super, like I mentioned before, like this shit, man, just sounds like it's straight out the 90s. It really does. It has all those classic 90s samples and sounds and shit. Yeah, it's really, the first track, Funky, is just so dope. Rotten Apples. His lyrics are actually really funny too. But he's got something for everybody in here. It's very 90s sounding. What is so Goodfellas on here is like the hardest fucking beat, dude. It's super, super hard. Like it combines like 90s and like modern sounds, and just, it comes off so damn hard. But then he's got a track called Keep the Party Live with Mad Rev and Capital J, and it's like more of an up-tempo kind of like boom bap, like 90s boom bap kind of party track, and it's fucking dope, dude. I really like it. Beer and Smoking in Amsterdam's a cool track. But all over the place. Like it's a great, great album. This was released from HHV, part of the Shoguns crew, of course, with Blabbermouth and all those cats and shit like that. So if you're familiar with those guys, it's from the Netherlands, so it's Netherlands hip hop. Man, all their shit's like just, it's like they live in this time capsule over there, and they still think it's the 90s, I swear. But anyways, I'm not going to complain about that. So, Trouble the Funky Fuck here. Amazing. Step Back is another track on that record that is just phenomenal. So, but getting into the number 4. It's another album that I do have on vinyl also, from Canadian's own Mathematic from Down to Earth. Doing a record with Parental and What's the other guy's name on here? I always forget. Lex. Yeah, Lex produced. He produced. It's kind of like a half and half deal, man. Like Lex produced first couple tracks on the record. Parental produced a bunch, and then it kind of goes back and forth to fill out the whole kind of 12 tracks or whatever, or 10 tracks that's on it. So I think it's like 5 and 5. You know, to be honest, I'm a huge Parental fan, but I think actually the Lex beats on here are a little bit better for myself. I think I like those ones a little bit more. But all in all, man, Mathematic is fucking dope. Like, this is where he sounds the best, dude. Like, so good. Yeah, another album release from HHV Records, which is crazy. Like, you know, a Canadian MC getting released on these European labels. I mean, it's the only thing that sucks about it is having to pay the conversion. These are expensive, so you know you got to do a dual deal and get the CD and vinyl and shit like that. But yeah, anyways, yeah, the song "Stay" on here is super dope. Man, I love that track. It's probably my favorite track on the album. There's a really dope instrumental track on here. It's I think it's called "Round at Midnight." I think that's the instrumental track. Yeah, super dope. But great vibe all around here. Super 90s sounding. So if you're into that and you're familiar with Mathematic, check it out. Awesome. So 2 Canadian albums making the top 23 this year. Crazy. All right, so getting in the top 2. This was so hard, but at the end of the day, I knew what my favorite album was. So coming at number 2 is The Return. Marco Polo and Torre, Midnight Run. Yes, their first album in like 14 years. And it was like they just never stopped working together, man. Like Marco Polo's beats, he is so catering. He's like a DJ Premier, man. He'll kind of like tailor a beat to an MC or whatever. Marco Polo's like that too, man. If you listen to his discography, man, of albums that he's done with artists like Rusty Jux, Marco Polo, or with Torre, Hannibal Stax, like the list goes on, and like his albums, Port Authority and stuff like that. The way he caters his beats, like you listen to Nostalgia with Master Ace and stuff, like those beats feel like they're specifically done for those MCs, and that you get that here, man. Torre just sounds so fucking dope over these hard beats. It's like Double Barrel, man. Like Double Barrel was so tailored, so specific, so amazing. You know, like, you know, Marco Polo making beats for Master Ace. Those are Master Ace beats, man. You know what I mean? This whole record is so super dope, man. Reloaded. The intro is fire. The Return is like the second track, so sick. But every song on here, I don't even know if I could pick one. It just, the whole album is just fire, dude. Rap Shit is just a banger. Mardi Gras is a banger. I love the sample in Oh No. It's good. Making Up His Dog. Gray Sheep. They flip a like Black Sheep sample on that one. It's really dope, man. Really dope. But this is like hard boom bap, man. Oh, dude, Midnight Run. Gotta get it. Sick. And of course, on to my favorite album of the year. And when this got announced, I almost shit myself, dude, because I'm a huge fan of the MC and the production crew. And I was like, this is going to be fire. This is going to be fire. And that's Beneficence and Jazz Spastics with Summer Night Sessions. I mean, again, from the intro to the outro, or the intro to the last track, I should say, super awesome, man. It's got that whole Jazz Spastic sound. The production is so clear. But you know, again, Beneficence I love as an MC, but he's one of those guys that always has the best features on his records, man. Like, he's got Socrates, he's got A1 on here, he's got Doodlebug from Diggable Planets, and that song, Wicked and Wild, is so dope. You got Sky Zoo on here, you got R.A. Science from Dilated Peoples, you got J-Live, you got fucking Elda Sensei from The Artifacts, Kid Abstract's on here with Shadiq. This whole album is ridiculous. Like, there's no bad songs on here at all, and it runs like 45, 50 minutes. Like, it's long. It doesn't feel like it when you listen to it. It's just like banger after banger after banger. I mean, ever since I first discovered this Jazz Spastics, probably 10, 12 years ago, whatever it was, I fell in love with them, man. They're very jazzy, boom bap influence, but they change it up a little bit and stuff. But man, they put out some good stuff, man. Really good stuff. Yeah, dude, this is incredible. I really got to get the vinyl of this too, man. But you can't go wrong. I mean, everyone shows up on their verses too, man. Like, R.A. Science, Man vs. Machine is super sick. Elda Sensei always kills it. J-Live. Like, J-Live is one of those dudes, man, that always puts out quality shit. No one ever talks about the dude. I don't know, man. I've always been a big J-Live fan, man. Smart dude. He was a school teacher at one time. I think he was a high school teacher at one time. But it's cool to see Doodlebug on here from Diggable Planets. And that song, it just works so damn well. Like, I mean, I would love to hear a Diggable Planets album produced by fucking Jazz Basics. That would be dope. Because I know they've been touring. They've been doing lots of stuff. I follow them on Instagram, and they've been touring all over the place and shit. Just not dropping records, but you know what it is. But yeah, Beneficence, Jazz Basics, #1 album of the year, my favorite album of the year. And yeah, that's going to conclude my top 23 of 23. So yeah, wow, this video actually went on 40 minutes. I was trying to do this in under 30 minutes. I'm like, it's never going to happen. I'm like, just don't talk too much about the records or else it's going to go on way too damn long like it always does. It's so hard to do these and make them short. But you guys get the gist. So anyways, let me know down below what your guys' favorite albums are of the year. You don't have to do a top 23, top 10, whatever. That's fine. I mean, I guess I could do a couple honorable mentions. I do want to mention the Homeboy Sandman album, Still Champion. Like I've mentioned many times that I'm not the biggest Homeboy Sandman fan, but this album just did it for me, man. There's something about the way he delivers his rhymes on this. It's just a different cadence. It's a different vibe overall in this. I really like it. I think it's because it also is all produced by one guy, and it just has that cohesiveness to it. I really like this album. So that was a good one. This is the one that was going to be my top 23, but it ends up being like 28 minutes. So I'm like, oh shit. Yeah. But you know what I think I just did? I forgot to do my #3. I totally skipped #3. #3 is Curious and Cut Beatles. I just realized that I totally just missed my #3. So we're gonna back it up a little bit here. We're gonna go with Curious and the Cut Beatles. And I gotta say, man, this is like actually some of my favorite Cut Beatles beats I've ever seen, or I've ever heard, man. Curious comes correct on this, man. He sounds like Doom at times. It's crazy. But the whole record is super dope. And I absolutely love this one, man. Monkey Man. I can't believe I actually did. I've never done that before on one of my lists. But yeah, so this is actually my #3. And then Tory #2. And then Jazz Basics. I am super sorry about that. But this is why, you know, even following a list that's numbered, I still fuck up. It's hard. But yeah, and I know why too, because it was a vinyl, it was on the floor, and I just bypassed it. But Curious, Cut Beatles, aw, dude, super dope album. Mint Leaves on here, fucking banger. With Yazid the Divine, oh, that is a banger of a track, man, banger. So I think this one is only on vinyl also, so yeah, that's where you can get it. But hopefully it gets CD release also. But yeah, anyways, that's the top 23. Mostly in order. All right, guys. Yeah, another honorable mention I'll mention the Tajay and Architect record. This was really good. I really enjoyed this one too. And also the Joel Ortiz and L'Orange record was really good too. Which I think this one was only like 28 minutes too or something. I think these are all just under, but you know, they're on the cusp. They're on the cusp. It is what it is. So, but that's going to do it for top 23. Like I said, leave your list down below. Leave comments. And of course, if you guys are more interested in Shelf by Shelf, those are going to be coming back soon. I'm going to have a little bit more time, and then I got some crazy ass, you know, updates to do here. There's probably like 600-700 albums to update that's not even in the collection. I know I got a serious buying problem, man. I can't stop. I just love finding shit. It's part of it, but yeah. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it. I'll check you guys in the next video. And as usual, music!